If you think this is a struggle over a faraway country of which we know little, you may be right. But if you think it is irrelevant to our fortunes or our day-to-day lives, you could not be more wrong. Taiwan produces very close to two-thirds of the world's supply of semiconductors, the chips that enable everything from smartphones to smart cars to computers to function. Emily Taylor is CEO of Oxford Information Labs, editor of Chatham House's Journal of Cyber Policy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Johnny.
We had a whiff, didn't we, Emily, of what disruption to semiconductor production might mean for the global economy during the pandemic.
Yes, and we're still living with it, actually, Johnny. The combination of changing buying patterns during the pandemic, climate change played a role because there was severe weather events in Texas back then, and also geopolitical events like the sanctions imposed by the Trump administration led to stockpiling and arguably probably boosted the role of Taiwan, which already had a very, very strong position in the global chip supply chain.
If the supply of semiconductors was halted entirely from Taiwan, how severe would the impact be?
Well, the first thing to say is, that there's been a history of posturing and final warnings, if you like, over Taiwan. It's a great source of tension, but there tends to be a backing off historically. But as the last speaker said, anything could happen at the moment. If there was a disruption to Taiwan's manufacturing and ability to export chips, it would have a very severe impact on global societies. As you said in your introduction, almost everything that we do at the moment is at some level computerized. And Taiwan, not all chips are created equal, and Taiwan has a very strong role in the most advanced chips that are necessary for the next generations of technology. So close to two-thirds of the chips that are produced in the world originate in Taiwan, and a very high percentage indeed of these most advanced ones. So it could affect all levels of society, from critical infrastructure, healthcare, agriculture, sensor networks, smart devices, household items, cameras. It's almost easier to think of things that aren't digitized and computerized today than things that are.
Would there be workarounds? I mean, could you not set up a semiconductor factory in Lancashire or Ohio or wherever?
Or even Newport, where we did have
Indeed.
a British-owned fab foundry, which was sold to a Chinese company last year. It's only a year later that the UK is actually starting an investigation into this sale. Yes, but it all takes time. You can see, that the US administration is trying to push through legislation and very large subsidies, more than $50 billion, to try and stimulate manufacture of semiconductors domestically. But these are extremely specialist facilities. They require zero dust. They are highly, very toxic gases. The chips themselves the components are absolutely microscopic. It's not something that you can think up one day and then have a global position in the market the next day. All of this takes time. You can see that the impact of last year's events are still having a severe delay on, for example, the arrival of new automobiles, or even chips required for gaming. So everything is impacted, and everything takes time in this very complex industry.
Emily, thank you very much for coming on The World at One. Emily Taylor, CEO of Oxford Information Labs.